What's up, freaks and geeks, and welcome to episode 47 of The Good, the Bad, and the Freaky. Ian and I are here, as always, in the Freakopolis Geekery comic book section. And what are we talking this week?
This week we're talking It, Wolfenstein, Star Wars Destiny, Retcon, the Orville, and more.
Let's get right into it with a unpacking of this new Star Wars Destiny set, Empire at War. These just arrived about 20 minutes ago or so. We were ready to shoot. They don't go on sale until Friday, but we figured we'd give you guys a sneak peek at what we are pulling. Yeah, so.
And,
oh, nice.
yeah, we got some good stuff in this pack.
Yeah, very cool.
We have K2SO.
Yeah, sweet. A new red hero. We also have The Day Is Ours, an event for red neutrals. Appraise. A yellow hero, it shows Lando with the space cow, and two battlefields, including the Imperial Academy and the Bomar Monastery. So,
Interesting.
but yeah, K2SO is definitely the premier.
Yeah, he's the pull out of this pack, and he's got some awesome stats going on with a 2 melee, a 3 melee for no cost, 2 shields, 1 resource, 1 disrupt, and a blank, which, I mean, that is a solid die.
And at 12 health, what's he pointed at?
15-20, which means you could play 2 K2SOs if you were playing casually on the same team.
Very exciting. So sort of mid-ranged, statted and costed. Pretty good stuff.
That is awesome.
I loved him in Rogue One, so I'm excited to see him get some play. So yeah, these are available on Friday. For purchase, we are holding an event from 5 to 8 p.m. With promo cards, hopefully, as well as plenty of boxes in stock. So very excited for that. Star Wars Destiny's been really cool since it premiered, and a new release is always really exciting.
Absolutely. Been waiting a long time for this set, so that's my good.
Awesome. My good this week is the premiere of a new science fiction show.
Oh, yeah.
That happened this Sunday. The Orville, of course, which we talked about a bit when the trailer dropped.
Mm-hmm.
But it's finally here. This is, of course, Seth MacFarlane's sort of Star Trek, not really sitcom.
No, it's not what you would expect it to be. In fact, we've talked about this a lot after watching their pilot, and even though it has funny moments, it's by no means a comedy.
No, it's not. It's lighthearted for sure, but it's some pretty serious sci-fi, really. It follows Seth MacFarlane's character, who is the new captain, newly promoted captain of the exploratory vessel, the Orville. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it kind of makes fun of a lot of sci-fi tropes and whatnot, but it also kind of pays respect to them at the same time and really tries to make use of them.
My favorite part, I think, was seeing the portion of life on a starship that you don't necessarily see in Star Trek. There was a scene where the helmsman ran into the first officer in the hallway and was just like, "Oh, I was on my way to the bathroom, but, let's have this conversation." Which obviously never happens in Star Trek.
No.
They kind of gloss over that. Things seem sort of set up. But here it feels really natural and fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a good pilot, I'd say, and I'm excited for the rest of the season, what adventures the crew of the Orville goes on.
Absolutely. It'll be exciting to see what sort of sci-fi stuff they delve into. So yeah, pretty good stuff there.
It is.
Let's move on to our bads.
Yeah. So I got some bad news on the movie side. One movie we've talked about previously, The Dark Tower, sadly underperformed by a large margin and was incredibly beaten out by It in its entire international gross income. It was beaten out by It in 1 week.
Yeah, It had a huge weekend, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody says it's great, but sad to see sort of another Stephen King thing not doing so hot.
And I've had some kind of speculation as to why this is, and it might be because The Dark Tower wasn't a good choice of adaptation to make into a movie due to it being kind of an 8-parter and
Right.
condensing it all down into an hour and a half. Maybe it was because just the actors or something couldn't pull it off. But, I mean, not to talk down It or anything, but the fact that it smashed The Dark Tower's income kind of leans towards The Dark Tower not being so great for a multitude of reasons.
I think so, yeah. It's, everything points to that movie not being too great, with It being awesome. I'm looking forward to catching it some point in the next week, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited for that. Everybody says it's great. Had a huge weekend. Super cool. My bad, unfortunately, I hate to leave it at bad. It doesn't sort of describe everything that occurred here. But the comic community lost a legend with the passing of Len Wein earlier this week. Of course, he's the co-creator of a lot of characters, including Wolverine, Swamp Thing, Nightcrawler, Colossus. Revitalized the X-Men. Was editor for Alan Moore's Watchmen. Just truly a legend, and the whole community is pretty saddened by his death.
Yeah, I mean, he was there in an important role in the revitalization of superheroes in general.
Absolutely. But the cool thing is, or rather, at least we're lucky to have his works that he can continue to live on through, and that's the great thing about being an artist or a creator, is that all these people that love your creative endeavors can continue to remember you through them. So we'll do just that, I think.
Exactly.
But moving on to our freakies, we've got a couple comics.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Wolfenstein?
Oh, I've been waiting on this one for a long time, and it definitely has pulled through my expectations. It is great. Wolfenstein, the comic, it comes from the video game series Wolfenstein, and there's an awesome new Wolfenstein on the horizon. As far as games go, now it has a badass comic. Wolfenstein follows the story of resistance fighters after the Allies failed to topple fascist regimes. Due to them getting some ancient and powerful technology, they now rule the entire Earth. And it's kind of like this really dark alternative history story.
Sounds about right.
While at the same time having really cool, like American patriotism elements as well as sci-fi elements. And it really pulls through with building up characters who live within this dark world but still find glimmers of hope.
Cool, yeah, so sort of a tie-in to this video game universe, but it's an oversized comic.
It is right? A big comic.
Yeah, it looks super thick. And by a publisher that's doing some really cool stuff lately. Titan Comics, who usually was really known for their Doctor Who stuff, but now they have Wolfenstein. They've got this really cool book coming out called A Beautiful Death that I'm really looking forward to. So definitely some cool books coming out of them, and yeah, very excited to see. Now this is part 1.
Yes, and it leaves with quite a cliffhanger there, and I am super excited for part 2.
Nice, yeah, I believe it's just a 2-part series. So for any of you Wolfenstein fans out there, I know the games are much loved. This is a really cool book that takes place in that same universe. And we move on to my comic, another freaky book this week out from Image Comics. Retcon #1. This was on my pull list. It didn't give a lot in the sort of solicitation to work on. It was basically get in now on a comic that hasn't or about to be retconned or something of that nature. Just really weird and sort of not giving a ton of answers. But now it is finally here, and I'm very excited for it. I really love this book. This first issue was really cool. It's sort of this psychedelic, paranormal, Men in Black story about a disavowed investigator's struggle to uphold his duty. It really impressed me. There's a ton of action pieces that were really cool, and the visuals are sort of reminiscent of like Steve Ditko. You've got these really strange, ethereal pieces in each panel. I really enjoyed it.
Very interesting. So you were kind of going out on a whim when you put this one on your pull list.
I was.
Because we saw in previews that this was going to be, a retcon of a comic that hasn't come out yet. And that definitely caught our eye. But we were wondering what more there would be to it. I mean, that doesn't really make any sense on its own. No. But I'm glad that you really like it now that we have it in, and I'll have to check it out myself.
Yeah, it was a solid entry to, I think, what's going to be a really cool series. I can't say enough good stuff about this crazy art that's inside there.
Awesome.
Even down to the lettering is really well polished. There's a really cool interview in the back of the book with the creators and artists and writers.
It's always appreciated.
Yeah, which gave some insight into what their process is and stuff. And I always really dig that kind of insight in my books. As far as I'm concerned, if it continues to be like this, another win on Image.
Nice.
Yeah, so very exciting. And we have some copies of that as well as Wolfenstein. But that will do it for this week's The Good, the Bad, and the Freaky. Thank you guys so much. If you could or you feel like it, like, share, subscribe, comment. I'm getting too good at that. Just let us know what you thought, what your good, bad, and freakies are this week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.